So, the 2024 series of Doctor Who has come to an end. The first series of a new era, the Disney Plus era, the Ncuti Gatwa era, the Russell T Davies 2.0. It's a whole new era for Doctor Who. Just came to an end a couple weeks ago with Empire of Death. Today, now that the latest series is finished, it's time for a definitive tier list of all of the series of new Doctor Who from 2005 to the latest series. We're going to do a tier list style ranking, might change it around at the end, we'll see how we go. Okay, starting out with Series 1 from 2005, the first series of the revival era of Doctor Who, with Christopher Eccleston showing up as the Ninth Doctor. We had Billie Piper playing the new companion, Rose Tyler. The Ninth Doctor and Rose Tyler were my introduction to Doctor Who, the first Doctor and companion of the revival era of the show. This series of Doctor Who is one of the most consistently well-written series of Doctor Who. There's not really a bad episode in there. You've got some like The Long Game, which is kind of okay, but generally this season doesn't miss. Russell T Davies' writing, it's fantastic, no pun intended. The series finale, brilliant, with Christopher Eccleston regenerating into David Tennant at the end. The Bad Wolf series arc was spectacular. To this day, one of the best series arcs of Doctor Who. Bad Wolf. It was kind of actually rehashed out with Susan Twist in the new series of these words appearing everywhere they went. So good. So good. Dalek was a standout episode. The Father's Day, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. So many bangers. Series 1, I think I'm putting in S tier. It is the OG series that started Doctor Who back up again. It deserves to be up there. Okay, next up, Series 2. Obviously, this is David Tennant's first series as the Doctor, and in my opinion, his weakest series as the Doctor. His debut episode, The Christmas Invasion, is pretty iconic. You've got so many bangers in here, like Tooth and Claw, that's kind of mid. The Girl in the Fireplace, I really love the Cyberman two-parter, Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel. Obviously the two-part finale, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, is pretty good, and the final act of Doomsday, where Rose and the Doctor get separated, is just honestly soul-crushing. It's a good series all in all. However, there are a few episodes, Tooth and Claw, like I said, kind of mid. School Reunion, if it wasn't for Sarah Jane and K9, this one's kind of mid. New Earth, kind of mid. You've also got Fear Her in here, which a lot of people don't like. The Idiot's Lantern. It's an okay series with some great episodes. I will say, David Tennant and Rose together is kind of an annoying pair. I think Rose Tyler was a much more likeable companion in Series 1, when her and the Doctor were more platonic. In Series 2, she kind of spends the whole time just kind of like whining over the Doctor, pining for the Doctor in a romantic way, which I don't really like that much. I think Series 2 is a B tier series. I think there are some great episodes in there, like I said, Girl in the Fireplace, the Cybermen episodes, the Idiot's Lantern's kind of cool, the Doomsday, but there's too many kind of lackluster episodes that hold it back a little bit. And like I said, the Doctor's relationship with Rose was better in Series 1. Okay, next up, Series 3. This is one of my favourite series. I think obviously we get Martha Jones introduced here, who is one of my favourite companions in Doctor Who, one of the most underrated companions in Doctor Who. So many good episodes in here. Series 3 has a stretch of episodes. I think it goes something like Human Nature, Family of Blood, Blink, Utopia, Last of the Time Lords, Sound of Drums, something like that. I don't know if that's exactly right, but there's a stretch of episodes at the back half of the season that are just all like near perfect episodes. The 3-part finale is not perfect, it's okay, and I like Captain Jack coming back, that's really fun, but that stretch of episodes is great. Blink is obviously one of the highest rated TV episodes ever, not just Doctor Who, just any TV ever. Yeah, that Family of Blood 2-parter is phenomenal. Even earlier on in the season, you know, episodes like, what have you got? You've got Smith and Jones is a decent episode, and a decent introduction for Martha. Same with Shakespeare Code, Gridlock. They're good episodes at the start of the season. The only one that's kind of filler is 42, which I didn't really like, written by Chris Chibnall, believe it or not. But I think Series 3 is... I'm torn between S and A. I mean, it's not as objectively not as good as Series 1, but Martha Jones I love, and there are some really great episodes in here. I think I'm going to put it high A tier. I mean, it's better than Series 2, not as good as Series 1. This is kind of shaping up okay so far. Okay, next up, Series 4. This is one of the best series of Doctor Who for me personally. Donna Noble is such an iconic companion, and no wonder they brought David Tennant and Catherine Tate back for the 60th anniversary specials. So many good episodes. Again, Series 4 has a string of episodes at the back half of the season that are all just so good. It's like you've got Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead, Midnight, Turn Left, Stolen Earth, Journey's End. All near perfect episodes. And then after that you roll into the specials like Waters of Mars, which is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who in my opinion. The End of Time, you know, he will knock 4 times. That scene in End of Time, what a curveball that it's will fall along. I mean, and even again earlier on in the season, Partners in Crime, when the Doctor and Donna meet up again, that is so good. And you know, Fires of Pompeii, these, and the Time Lord Victorious arc that's building by the end into the specials, so good. So good. Donna and Wilfred Mott, come on. I mean, even Martha coming back for a few episodes in Series 4 alongside the Doctor and Donna. Come on. I think... how could I even mention in the finale, everyone coming back, Rose, Mickey, Jackie, Sarah Jane, Captain Jack, Martha, flipping Harriet Jones. Everyone was there. This might be controversial, but I think Series 4 is my favourite of the original Russell T Davies era. Because of the Doctor and Donna, their dynamic, because of the amount of phenomenal episodes, the series arc, the return of Rose, there's so much in this. I think Series 1 might be more consistently well written, but Series 4 is just a literal orgy for Doctor Who fans. It's so good. And so that brings us to the end of the Russell T Davies era of Doctor Who, or at least the first one. And we move on to Series 5, which is now where Stephen Moffat has taken over as the showrunner. Matt Smith is now the Doctor. A lot about the show kind of changes at this point. Series 5. Shoot me dead. It's going right here. Hang on, I don't know how exactly I'm going to do this, but... Series 5 is just, for me, such a great series. I grew up watching it. I was like 8 years old when this series came out. Matt Smith kind of became my Doctor. And this is Matt Smith's best series. This is one of the greatest series of the show for me. I mean, you've got Amy and Rory coming in as new companions who are so likeable. Matt Smith's Doctor in his first series was so good, so charismatic. And the episodes in this series, you know, the 11th Hour is one of the best series openers we've ever had. Episodes like The Weeping Angels two-parter was such a great use of the Weeping Angels and a validated bringing them back. Amy's Choice is one of my favourite episodes ever. Vincent and the Doctor as well. The series finale is okay, not one of my favourites, but even Chris Chibnall's episodes, The Hungry Earth, Cold Blood, great episodes. For me, Series 5 is up there as an S-tier series. Now we move into Series 6. In my opinion, Matt Smith's tenure as the Doctor gradually gets worse over time. I think Series 6 has a lot of flaws. This is the first series where, for me, the quality starts to take a decline. I think the first 5 series of modern Doctor Who are all so good. I mean, I think some are better than others, but generally, they're all going to be towards the top of this list. I think Series 6 is the first series of Revival Who where they kind of drop the ball a bit. The whole plot with the Doctor dies, but then the whole time it's kind of dragged out for so long, and then it kind of ends up being a bit of an anticlimax with him being a Tesselector and never actually dying in the first place, and the stuff with River Song killing him. I mean, it's okay, but it's far from perfect. I mean, I loved the opening two-parter in America, Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon. Loved those. There's some other cool episodes like The Doctor's Wife. There's some good ones in here, but there's also a lot of filler and a lot of kind of mediocre episodes. For me, Series 6 tried to do too much and dropped the ball on it. I mean, Stephen Moffat said that when he was showrunning Doctor Who, he was handing in first draft scripts because he was overworked. And it kind of shows in Series 6. I don't think it's one of the worst series of Doctor Who, but I don't think it's one of the best. I think Series 6 belongs down in like the C tier. Again, there were some good episodes, and obviously I like Matt Smith's Doctor, Amy and Rory I like, but there were some obvious things wrong with this series, and it was kind of underwhelming and a bit trying to juggle too much. Now we go on to Series 7, which is Matt Smith's final series as the Doctor, and by far his weakest. Series 7 might be, I guess, maybe the first real hot take in this video. I think Series 7 is one of the worst series of modern Doctor Who. The fact that it was split into 2 didn't help with kind of the flow and momentum of the series, and in that split, a lot changes, you know. The Doctor's outfit changes, the TARDIS interior changes, the companions change, with Amy and Rory leaving and Clara coming in. And a lot of those changes kind of suck, and it feels like a real punch in the face at a midpoint in the series. How Amy and Rory were handled in their final episodes was kind of bad. Like, oh, they're taking time away from the TARDIS and the Doctor, and then now when they're spending less time with him, they die. Like, I mean, is it clever? Is that clever, or is it just ass? I can't really tell, but I didn't like it. Power of 3 was a bad episode. Dinosaurs on a Spaceship was a bad episode. And Asylum of the Daleks was kind of average. I think the only good episodes that Amy and Rory got towards the end of their time was A Town Called Mercy and The Angels Take Manhattan. And their departure felt rushed, and I didn't like it. And then the 11th Doctor and Clara is just not a good combo, and if you like Matt Smith and Clara together, you might be a bit of a perv, because it was just weird and full of Stephen Moffat's horny writing. I didn't like it at all. Not to mention the episodes at the back end of Series 7 suck. I mean, name one good one, apart from, I mean, if we're including the 50th anniversary special, Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor's okay. There's some good ones if we include the specials, but the core of Series 7, Hyde, rubbish. Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, rubbish. Crimson Horror, rubbish. Bells of St. John, rubbish. Rings of Ackerton is good, okay, and Cold War is alright, but generally, I think Series 7 belongs here. even if we're including the 50th anniversary special, and I think it's one of the weakest and messiest series of Doctor Who, where things in behind the scenes, maybe with actors leaving and studios changing, meant that this series suffered in terms of quality quite severely. So we've reached the end of Matt Smith's era. Now we're on to Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi's debut series, Series 8, kind of gets a lot of hate for not much reason. I mean, it doesn't deserve to be kind of talked about the way that it is. I think Series 8 is a perfectly good series. I think Peter Capaldi is one of the best actors who have played the Doctor in recent times, and doesn't really get the appreciation he deserves in the role. I think Peter Capaldi with Clara is an infinitely better pairing than Matt Smith and Clara. It feels very, you know, platonic and just very nice, and it's kind of like father-daughtery, and it's a lot nicer and just better, and it makes for better stories, you know. Series 8 had some great episodes. Flatline comes to mind, Time Heist, Listen. There were some bangers in here. The series opener, Deep Breath, was kind of mid. The series finale, though, was very good, with Danny Pink and Missy. Missy is so good. You know, I like Series 8. I like Series 8, and I think, to be honest, it's at least on par with Series 2. I think potentially Series 8 has better episodes than Series 2, if I'm being honest. But this is special, and this is still good. I think I'm happy with Series 8 where it is. Then we have Series 9. Series 9, for me, is it a step up or a step down from Series 8? I mean, it's difficult, because this is actually the most difficult part of this list, I think, because on the one hand it could be a step up because you've got episodes like Heaven Sent. I really like the Under the Lake Before the Flood two-parter. Missy's involvement in the series, obviously Clara's death. There's a lot to like about Series 9. The Zygon two-parter with Peter Capaldi's big iconic speech that really defined his Doctor. There's a lot to like here, but there's also episodes like the Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived, which are kind of underwhelming. The series opener two-parter. This kind of series is kind of full of two-parters. You've got Sleep No More, which is just a complete... It's the dictionary definition of a filler episode. But this is hard. I think I have to put it... This is so hard! It's either here or here. I mean, it's a B tier. I think generally Peter Capaldi's series are just mid. I love the 12th Doctor, I love him in the role. He's one of my favourite Doctors. But his series, with the writing and everything considered, are generally kind of mid compared to these. So it's definitely B tier, but is it better or worse than Series 8? I think... it tackles more. I think it's marginally better, in my opinion. I think Peter Capaldi's had time to warm up to the role, and I think there's more standout moments in Series 9 than there are in Series 8. Then we have Peter Capaldi's final series, Series 10. In my opinion, probably his best series. I mean, it's debatable, but I really love the trio of Peter Capaldi's Doctor with Bill and Nardole. I love that trio. Bill's a great companion who was kind of snuffed with only getting one series. It would have been nice for her to stay longer. Nardole is a cool kind of third member of the TARDIS crew. Missy's involvement in Series 10 I loved. Fantastic character, fantastic iteration of the Master. The conclusion of that character's story in the end is great. I think it's again one of the most consistently written series. Like, it's consistently good. There's some that are okay, like Eaters of Light is kind of a bit of a miss. You know, but you've got Oxygen, which is great. You know, just the early episodes feel really good Doctor Who, and then that, I mean, I'm saying 3-part finale of World Enough and Time, The Doctor Falls, and Twice Upon a Time, the Christmas special. What a trilogy. I mean, probably the best regeneration story of any Doctor ever, in my opinion. Series 10 is really, really good, I think. Yeah. So I think it goes here. I think probably before the new series, I would have said that this was my top 5 series of Doctor Who. So we're looking at that right here. I think Series 10 is great, I mean, by Series 10, Peter Capaldi was fully in the swing, you know, and paired with... Peter Capaldi and Clara was great, but the Bill and Nardole trio was something special, and it's a shame we didn't get that dynamic for more, but I feel like it was a great series, so it goes there. Okay, now we're in the Jodie Whittaker / Chris Chibnall era, aka dumpster fire territory. I mean, look, I don't hate this era of the show as much as most people do. As a fan of Doctor Who, I still appreciate it and somewhat enjoy it. But compared to what came before, brother. So Series 11 is an interesting one because it was Chris Chibnall's first series, Jodie Whittaker's first series, and Chris Chibnall kind of took this approach of, let's kind of distinct ourselves from what's come before. Let's not use, let's not bring back villains like the Daleks or the Cybermen. Let's kind of do something completely different. And it failed. And then in Series 12, he completely backtracked, brought back the Daleks, brought back the Cybermen, brought back the Master after, you know, Stephen Moffat perfectly concluded the Master's story with Missy. Series 11 is, I think it's here. I think it was, at the time that Series 11 came out, it was the worst series of Doctor Who at the time. I mean, Jodie Whittaker's companions, Ryan, Yaz and Graham, was criminally underdeveloped. We didn't really see anything to do with their personal lives. They had no real depth. I mean, apart from them grieving Ryan's grandma and Graham's partner, that was kind of the only substance that they had, and Yaz didn't really have any at all. Series 11 was kind of a colossal dumpster fire for Doctor Who, generally speaking. I will say, I like the episode It Takes You Away. I'm really trying to think of positive things to say about Series 11, but I'm struggling here. Next up we have Series 12, which is marginally better than Series 11 in my opinion. I think, you know, look, Chris Chibnall didn't know how to write Doctor Who. He had a few hits early on with like Hungry Earth and Cold Blood is a good 2-parter that I like. But if you look at his other episodes, like 42 is a filler episode, Power of 3 and Dinosaurs on a Spaceship are part of the reason why Series 7 fucking sucks. Series 12 is marginally better than Series 11 because the Timeless Child arc, while obviously I have problems with it in its execution, I actually have no real problem with it in its concept. You know, Brain of Morbius revealed that the Doctor had lives before the first Doctor. I don't have a problem with the Timeless Child or the Fugitive Doctor or anything like that in concept. It's just in its execution, in the way it was explained, everything. Yeah, poor. The Master coming back after literally 2 years before Stephen Moffat wrote this fantastic ending for Missy, redemption arc, and then the Master just comes back and he's a nasty bugger again. Did not like that. I think it's better than Series 11 because it feels more Doctor Who. You've got Captain Jack coming back, you've got the Daleks coming back, things like that. The companions are getting a bit more developed. It's marginally better than Series 11, and so it goes here. Okay, next up, Series 13, aka Flux. This is by far Chris Chibnall's best writing, although it's still fairly poor compared to previous series. Jodie Whittaker is, you know, great as the Doctor again, but it's just the writing falls flat for her series. Series 13 was an interesting thing. I mean, it's one of the shortest series of the show ever, with just 6 episodes, 9 including the subsequent specials. It was an interesting idea, you know, as one series of 6 episodes and it's just a 6-part story. Kind of cool. It's like the trial of a Time Lord of NuWho, which is kind of interesting. The Flux was a cool concept, but again, like The Timeless Child, failed dramatically in its execution. The stakes weren't high enough, and it was just kind of bleh. You know, the Weeping Angel episode was good, I mean, but again, where Series 11 didn't feel enough like Doctor Who, Series 12 and 13, they relied too much on, you know, core pillars of the show that it felt just rehashy, but just not as good. Like, in Flux you had Sontarans, Weeping Angels, flipping Ood, you know, everyone coming in, but something was missing. You know, you can't just rely on that stuff and hope the show will be good. You've got to actually write well, which they didn't really. John Bishop as Dan Lewis as a character was cool. I liked him. One of Jodie Whittaker's more likeable companions, really. And the story of Flux was okay. Power of the Doctor was a great episode, probably Jodie Whittaker's best episode, and it was her final one. The stuff with the Master in that episode was weird. Like, why do you need to regenerate into the Doctor? Just swap clothes, for God's sake. But Series 13 goes here. I mean, look, it's better than Series 11 and 12, and I'd argue it's even probably better than Series 7. But it's still a problematic series that is mid at best. And then finally, Series 14, or Season 1 as it's being officially called, because it's a whole new era for the show with the Disney money, whatever. The latest series of Doctor Who. If you're coming here from TikTok, you probably saw all of my reviews from, you know, of the episodes this series. I've loved it. And Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor is so good in the role while simultaneously bringing a whole new lease of life, and it's so refreshing. You know, whether it's, you know, his more emotional vulnerability or something as simple as his outfit changes every episode. Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday, cool. I feel like there was an over-reliance in the mystery of Ruby Sunday, that we kind of didn't really get to know her as who she was. But yeah, Russell T Davies writing, it's good to have him back, and Stephen Moffat doing an episode as well. Getting those legacy writers from these fantastic series back is obviously good news, even though the show does feel different. The Disney money means the show's looked the best it's ever looked. You know, episodes like 73 Yards, Boom, Rogue, fantastic episodes, Dot and Bubble. And then the finale, The Legend of Ruby Sunday was amazing, but Empire of Death kind of dropped the ball, you know, resolving conflict too quickly with Sutek, underwhelming reveals of mysteries that had been hyped up as so big. But nevertheless, it's still a good finale. It's still a great series. And for me, the latest series breaks into the top 5 because I feel like it deserves to be there. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching the show week to week over the last couple months. The mysteries, who's Mrs. Flood, who's Ruby's mum, who's the one who waits, who's Susan Twist's character. There were so many mysteries that had me literally on the edge of my seat every week saying what's going on, and I haven't been that invested in the show since these series. So it has to go there. like I've said, the visual effects, the acting, the Murray Gold back doing the score. There's so much goodness, and if we're including the 60th anniversary specials that brought back Catherine Tate and David Tennant, who are extremely nostalgic for me, and my love for the show is intertwined with them, it's definitely up here if we're including those episodes. And yeah, if you want to see my actual reviews of each of the episodes of the latest series, go watch them on my TikTok. But anyway, that does it for the tier list. This is what we are left with. In S tier, we've got series 4, 5 and 1. Excuse me. Just choking on Chris Chibnall's writing. God. 4, 5 and 1. In my opinion, the best 3 series of modern Who. The 3 most consistently good series, and also what's the most nostalgic series for me personally. A tier, series 3, 14 or season 1 and series 10. All contenders for like this top 5 placement. The new series, I loved it. Series 10 is a real highlight of Stephen Moffat's era, and 3 had some great episodes in it. B tier, series 2, 9 and 8. The mid series. I mean, series 2 is almost pushing A tier, but there's too many weak episodes that it has to be here. And then series 9 and 8 are just kind of mid. They're mid Doctor Who. They're not up here with these, but they're not down here with these. Then C tier, we've got series 6 and series 13, or Flux. Nothing, these series are okay. They're okay, Doctor Who, but they are fundamentally flawed. They have problems. Series 6 is just, there's too much going on for not enough payoff. It's just, and there's a lot of filler episodes or mediocre episodes. Series 13 is the absolute best of Chris Chibnall's writing on Doctor Who, and it's still down here. And then D tier, we've got series 7, 12 and 11. Series 11 and 12 are the weakest series of the show, in my opinion. Just not good from any standpoint, really. Even noticeably, the series 11, 12 and 13 are the only ones without Murray Gold's score, and it tells. Like, Murray Gold's music is a big part of Doctor Who. Which is just a point I forgot to mention earlier. And then series 7 is better than these, but it's still, to me, Stephen Moffat's weakest series as showrunner. It's messy, with actors leaving the show on a whim, the studio changing. It was just a messy, messy series of the show, with a lot, and I mean a lot, of bad episodes. But that's it. If you enjoyed this tier list, leave a like. And, in the comments, let me know if you agree, if you disagree, what you change about this, what you thought about the new series of Doctor Who and how it compares to the rest. And, yeah, no new Doctor Who until Christmas, so the next few months we're probably going to be doing a lot of random stuff like this here on YouTube and on TikTok, just to keep Doctor Who in the conversation with my content. So, yeah, peace out, cool.